So I saw this news story and I thought, oh my goodness. Diablo 4 has made $1 billion. That's right, Diablo 4. Now, what's interesting about this is Xbox owns Diablo 4. And so when you hear these criticisms like Xbox is done, Xbox is not going to survive, Xbox is getting crushed, PlayStation has won the console war, it's over, Xbox had just become a publisher. It's not true. It's just not true. Xbox, with the acquisition of Bethesda, with the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, has set itself to dominate this next generation. And I think this is one of those points that you can look at. This is one of those events that you can look at and say, there are signs, everyone. There are signs that we're at the beginning of the Xbox domination generation, and I believe this is one of them. I think this is a huge one. This is a big $1 billion sign that Xbox is about to dominate the gaming space and change it in ways that I think benefit us as consumers, but also just absolutely destroy it. Now, the question is, the person that wrote this article, we're going to go over this article today, Brendan Laurie, it sounds like he's not a huge fan of the microtransactions on Xbox. I mean, here he refers to them, you can see, as devilish microtransactions. So let's talk about it, because I actually don't think that they're bad, and I don't have a problem with most microtransactions in games. Some people hear that word microtransaction, and it kind of has a negative connotation, and I don't think that microtransactions are negative necessarily. Some games just do them better than others. So let's talk about that. We're gonna go over this story, the $1 billion. I want to talk about how this gives Xbox a competitive edge. I want to talk about the future potential Blizzard integration with the Xbox ecosystem that we're starting to see, but we're gonna see more in the future as well. I also want to talk about the cross-platform potential here, how Xbox is leading the way, and a game like Diablo 4 kind of proves that cross-platform works in certain cases for certain titles. Diablo 4 is definitely an example of that. And then finally, I do want to talk about the cultural impact that this could have, because $1 billion is a huge cultural impact for sure. I think this has to do with live as service games as a service, right? Live service games where this most has the cultural impact. Before we jump into it, though, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. We drop videos like this all the time. Love hanging out with you guys and talking all things Xbox and gaming. So like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We also have a Discord channel. I will link it in the comments. I'll pin that to the top of the comments. Come join us. It's a good time over there. And let's jump into it. This is, again, WindowsCentral.com, Brendan Laurie. Diablo 4 has made $1 billion and counting for Blizzard, and a huge chunk of that comes from devilish microtransactions. I actually don't think it's that big of a chunk, actually. But let's go over it. Blizzard Entertainment's huge action RPG was undoubtedly one of 2023's biggest games, and it remains an incredibly popular title over the course of this year as well. It's always been clear that it's been a financial success, but now, thanks to some newly discovered details on the LinkedIn page of Blizzard Senior Product Manager Harrison Frosch. Apologize if I mispronounced it. I'm sure I did, but Harrison Frosch, we have an idea of exactly how much cash it's pulled in for the developer. According to what Frosch wrote, his profile has since been taken down. I dread the day that I post something on LinkedIn or something about work related, and you think you're posting something smart, like this thought leadership piece, and it needs to be taken down. And so your profile gets taken down. Oh, that's fun. It means that number was probably not supposed to get out there, I would imagine. I don't know. Maybe there's something different there. But according to what he wrote, Diablo 4 has made over $1 billion in all-time revenue since its launch just a year ago. That is amazing. $1 billion in all-time revenue. Of that, a sizable $150 million has come from microtransaction purchases. What is that? 15% exactly? 15% is not that much. That's about right, I think. I think that's about right for this game. So first of all, $150 million in revenue just from microtransactions, though, is giant. Absolutely giant. So this comes from microtransaction purchases on in-game shop items like weapon skins, armor sets, and other premium cosmetics. This is why I like the way Diablo does it. It's just cosmetics, period. One of the coolest cosmetics that I saw that I loved was the portals. Like you could change the portals. So in Diablo 4, for those of you that don't know, when you're away, you can fast travel back to the main city via a portal, and the portal opens up. It's just like a 2-second thing, but they have like these different colored portals that you could purchase. Yeah, done. I want that. It's super cool. The horse skins, super cool as well. A lot of players complain about the price. Even I have been like, ooh, that's a lofty price. But they do come as sweeteners usually, so it comes not just standalone, but with also in-game currency with it. So it's actually not so bad. When you look at the initial price of, for instance, the horse skin, let's say it's $40. You're like, dang, $40 for just a horse skin. I'm just saying this hypothetically. Because this got me. This example actually got me the first time I saw it. Like, ooh, that's a lot of money. But then you realize, oh, I'm not just getting $40. I'm not just getting the horse skin. I'm getting $40 worth of the in-game currency as well, so that I can use it elsewhere. So I actually think the way that Diablo does their microtransactions is completely above board, and I think really smart. And it's clear that a lot of players agree, because players don't buy stuff they feel ripped off from. $150 million in microtransactions on in-game. Keep in mind, cosmetic only items. It's not like you need these items to level up, because that, I think, there's a gray line there, right? There's definitely a line when you have to get something to level up. That makes you question some stuff. But cosmetics, gold. Here's what he said, quote, leading the monetization strategy of the store cosmetics pricing bundles offers personalized discounts and roadmap planning, which have driven over 150 million lifetime revenue. Read part of the description of Frost's work at the studio. He also helped carry out, quote, every step of game sales since pre-order to the first expansion by configuring and collaborating with other teams, resulting in over $1 billion in total lifetime revenue. That is insane. So it sounds like poor guy. It sounds like he was updating his LinkedIn profile to just shout out his successes, man. That's huge success. Yes, he should put that down. But he's since taken down his profile. Someone saw it and was like, bro, what are you doing? If anybody knows, what's his first name? Harrison. If anybody knows Harrison, give him a hug. That sucks. Given that Diablo 4 stands as the fastest selling Blizzard game ever, its impressive performance isn't exactly shocking. Still, what I was surprised at is that the game's microtransactions account for a full 15% of its total revenue. Why is that? Let's remove that 15%. $1 billion minus 150 is what, 850 million? That's still a massive number. I'm very confused at this. This is why I think Brandon clearly doesn't like microtransactions, in it, maybe just as a philosophy, it sounds like. Nothing against him. A lot of people, some people do, some people don't. But the way he's wording this, account for a full 15% of its total revenue. That's I would write that accounts for only 15% of its total revenue. I actually thought it would have been higher, but it's not. 15%. 15% is nothing. Another reason I was surprised by the statistic is that Diablo 4 in-game purchases are notorious for being egregiously overpriced. Here's the thing. I think they're overpriced on first look, but they're just sweeteners for the most part. So you're getting in-game currency along with it, which is actually a pretty good deal. Their deals are it's pretty fair when you look at it. But that did get me, because I was like, holy, $40 for it. I'm not paying for that. But that's not the case. So at first look, it looks like that, but when you really look at it, it's a sweetener, which gives you in-game currency as well, and it's totally fair in my mind. So he says the other reason he's surprised is because it's notorious for being egregiously overpriced, especially for items being sold in a game that already has a $40 to $50 barrier to entry. He says, but as my colleague Jez Gordon wrote about that, many players are likely detached from community Discord and just don't care. Perhaps that's what this number is telling us. Yeah, let's just take, that's actually a really good insight. Well done. What does that insight tell us? That the Twitter sphere, let's just call it the Twitter sphere for right now. The Twitter sphere says microtransactions bad. Yet Diablo 4 just made $150 million in microtransactions in 1 year. $1 billion total. So what does that tell you? That means that most people aren't online. This is the mistake everybody makes. Because I see everyone that I follow on Twitter saying this thing, that means everybody in the game must feel the same way. Because I see everybody on Discord saying this thing about something, everyone on Discord must feel this way. Because I see everything on Instagram, everyone I follow on Instagram saying this thing. No. Each one of those is their own individual hub. So Diablo players, for instance, or gamers, let's say Diablo players on Twitter expressing their concern about microtransactions represent Diablo players on Twitter who are expressing concerns about microtransactions. A part of that may be representative of your entire community, but just the part of it. It doesn't represent your entire community. What it represents, and actually what it most likely represents is, let me rephrase this, power users, power Twitter users, which is a whole other breed. Same with the power user on Reddit, same with the power user on Discord, same with the power user on Instagram, and you could just go down the line. It's not necessarily representative of what's happening in your game. It's not necessarily what's representative of everyone in your game. Sometimes it is, no doubt, and some of it is, yes, but not all of it. And that's the mistake I think that gaming journalists make a lot, is they look at, well, man, in my comments, everybody is saying this, ergo, everyone must feel that way. No, that's representative of people who follow you in your comments about any particular issue. And we do it with everything. We do it with politics. We do it with movies reviews. We do it with gaming reviews, with gaming things like microtransactions. So this is actually a really good point. He says many players are likely detached from community Discord and just don't care much. Perhaps that's what this number is telling us. Yes, that is 15%. 15%, first of all, of Diablo 4 revenue coming from microtransactions is not that big of a number. And I think is actually, I'm surprised it's only that big. I thought it would be like 20, 25%. 15%, I think is a sign of a really healthy game, to be perfectly honest. I would love to know what you guys think, though. Do you think that that's too much? Do you think that's too little? What do you think of my take there on community and community sentiment? I see it all the time. I see it the most with quote unquote influencers. So Xbox or PlayStation influencers, they get into this mindset that the 5 people that they're interacting, and it's easy to see why that can happen. The 5 people they're interacting with and yelling back and forth about a topic on represents the entire gaming sphere. I'll give you a prime example where this happened, Concord. I saw a lot of people that were like, Concord. What happened in Concord is there was this divide, and it became kind of a political divide, actually. You had a group of people saying like, oh, this game is woke. There was some woke aspects to it for sure. And then you had this other group of people that are against the anti-woke people. And so they immediately dug in and said, this is the greatest game ever. And all those people were talking to each other. And so when Concord released and just got demolished, 600 peak players, 695 peak players, those people that were just talking to each other were surprised. It's like, guys, well, no, if you take a step back and see the bigger picture here, you can see why maybe this wouldn't succeed. The same thing happens here in like a Diablo, in any game, or in any sphere, on any topic, for sure. I think that this is one of those points in history, one of these points in time that we're going to look back and be able to point to and say, that was a sign of the beginning of the Xbox domination generation. $1 billion. Xbox now owns Activision Blizzard. And this is huge. Having this kind of successful title in your pocket on cross-platform just is huge for Game Pass, is huge for Xbox, and gives you a lot of flexibility in what you can do here. What does this represent, though, for Xbox? I think it gives Xbox a huge competitive edge in subscription gaming. I think that they already have that competitive edge. I think them making it their focus first and going out and making these massive purchases with Bethesda and Activision Blizzard now line them up in such a way that say, hey, guess what? You paid that extra $40 to $50 for Diablo 4. You don't have to. You can come to Game Pass. Anybody want to try out Diablo 4? Come to Game Pass. And they're still making money off of microtransactions. Not only are they getting you to subscribe, microtransactions inside a game like this, absolutely huge, clearly, from what we can see. Them being first in on subscription gaming here is absolutely huge. It's forced them to go out in order to get the content that is required to make subscription gaming possible and successful. It's forced them to go out and pick up Activision Blizzard and pick up Diablo 4 and now own Diablo 4. I think seeing Blizzard, so Diablo's a Blizzard title. Blizzard has huge titles. World of Warcraft, for instance. Hearthstone is another one. I think seeing these become more integrated into the Xbox ecosystem, along with Game Pass, will be absolutely huge. You don't make $1 billion from not being successful. You don't make $1 billion from not having a lot of players play your game. Imagine Game Pass advertisements directly in the game. Imagine benefits being advertised directly in the game if you become a Game Pass subscriber. Because this is a cross-platform game. It will always be a cross-platform game. It's smart. It gives you an in on competitors' hardware that says, hey, come subscribe to Game Pass. Absolutely massive and huge. Which brings me to the cross-platform potential. A lot has been said about this idea that, Xbox doesn't have any exclusive games. I've said this before. I've made this clarification. Xbox does have exclusive titles. What they've said about exclusivity is it's a case-by-case basis. They've only made a few not exclusive. First-party titles not exclusive. Sea of Thieves, for instance, makes complete sense. It's a live game as service, right? It has the Diablo mojo, where it's a live game that you can jump into anytime, and there's microtransactions, etc., etc. Makes complete sense. The other one, Indiana Jones, which was developed by Bethesda, also makes complete sense to me. It's not originally, doesn't have a history of dropping on Xbox. Was already being developed for all of them. It makes sense if you want to go and push the value of Game Pass. Makes complete sense. Diablo 4 is a cross-platform juggernaut, clearly. And I think Xbox's strategic push for these cross-platform games and owning a game like Blizzard in that is going to make them even more influential in this space and really kind of dictate how cross-platform goes and what it looks like in the future, which is going to be interesting to see. And last but not least, I think this is going to have huge cultural impact on the gaming industry as a whole. You can already see it. Diablo 4 represents this shift to more of live games as service, or why a successful game like this, why everybody wants a successful game as service, right? Like this, right? $1 billion. It's huge. Fortnite kind of success. Minecraft kind of success. There's ton. Why can't I think of a Genshin Impact type of success, right? They're absolutely huge. Everybody wants in. It's why Xbox went and picked up Destiny. Makes sense. Or not Xbox, PlayStation rather, went and picked up Destiny. Makes sense. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. And these games, they do well. I love Diablo. I jump in just to check out the seasons as each season drops. These games that I can stay in perpetually. Yes, there's a downside to it, in that there's only so many games I can play, but there's also an upside to it. If you love a world and you love a game and you love playing with your friends, then being able to come back year after year, month after month, week after week, and being able to experience that world again is huge. And that's why when they're successful, they're so successful because of that. There's something about coming back to that world that you love, to coming back to that game that you love. It's like a warm blanket. Anyways, that's just a few of my thoughts. Again, I think, without overstating it, I think this is one of those points that we're going to look at in the future and say, it's so obvious. It was so obvious that this was going to be the Xbox domination generation. And we're just at the beginning of it, everybody. I would love to know what you guys think. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Do you think this is a big deal? Do you think I'm overstating it here? Let me know in the comments below. Again, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.